Okay, welcome everyone to the kickoff webinar for the U.S. Department of Energy Solar Decathlon 2025 Design Challenge. My name is Taylor Ryan, and I am the competition manager for the Design Challenge from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, or NREL. I am joined today by several of my colleagues on the Solar Decathlon Organizer team, which is a group of staff here at NREL dedicated to ensuring you have a great competition experience in the 2025 Design Challenge. Today's webinar is intended to give you an overview of the 2025 Design Challenge competition, the requirements, and what to expect between now and April 2025. Before we kick things off, though, I wanted to opportunity for our leadership from the U.S. Department of Energy to come on camera, come off mute, and say a few welcome words. I wonder if we have Holly or Cassie in the Zoom with us today. Looks like they might not be here yet. But that's okay, because I think we could shoot into our first poll of the day. So before we get into any of the serious stuff about competition requirements, we wanted to do a quick poll with all of you. You can follow the instructions on this screen to join the poll, and then we'll switch the screen share and be able to see the results of that. So please take a second and you can join by web by that link, pollev.com/nrel comms, or use the QR code that you see there and join the poll. And then Kelly, whenever you're ready, you can take the screen share and we can show some of the results. Alrighty, so the first question is, where are you joining us from today? Solar Decathlon is unique in a lot of ways, but one of those ways is that we are an international collegiate competition. So that means collegiate institutions and students from around the world can participate in this competition. And I see that represented here today. It looks like we have coast-to-coast representation in the United States. We have some folks from Africa joining us today. That's awesome. This is great to see so many people from all over the world and across the country joining us. I see some folks in Canada. That is awesome. Thanks everyone for joining. Maybe Kelly, we could move to the next question. All right, the next question is, are you a student or a faculty member who is joining us today? We know we have both interested students and faculty probably on the call, and we want to hear who is represented. And it looks like right now it's mostly students. We love the student representation. That's awesome. A few more faculty joining. That's great. All right, and then was this the last question, Kelly? Oh, okay, we have
one more.
One more, that's awesome. So the last question in the poll is, how did you hear about this kickoff webinar? And I'm assuming this is open-ended or, okay, website, that's great. Email from your professor, okay. NREL, that's great, we're getting the word out. Email. Awesome. Well, no matter how you heard about today's website, we really appreciate you joining, and we'll take the time now to kind of jump into things. But before we do, I see that Holly has joined. So I wanted to give her an opportunity to say hello to everyone. She is our director from the U.S. Department of Energy. So Holly, I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, thanks, Taylor. Hello, everyone. Super excited to be here to kick off 2025 Design Challenge. We are thrilled to have so many people participating, and really looking forward to seeing what you all put together over the next few months. And we certainly hope this is a rewarding experience for both faculty and students that are involved. I see there are two photos on this slide. My colleague, Cassie Grimes, will be joining as well. She supports Solar Decathlon, especially on the commercial building side. So as you know, we have divisions in both commercial buildings and residential buildings. And so Cassie and I team up to work with Solar Decathlon teams on both the commercial and the residential side. And I think Cassie will be joining in a few minutes, so you may see her as well on this call. But all in all, just thrilled to be starting another season of Solar Decathlon and happy to have everyone here. Thanks.
Thanks, Holly. All right, I'm going to skip ahead now. And so for an overview of what we'll cover today, we're going to look at the competition structure, which includes the timeline, divisions, and key events of the 2025 Design Challenge. We'll also look at benefits of participation and why you should consider competing as both a student and a faculty in the Design Challenge. And then we'll wrap up with how to join and how to register a team in the Design Challenge and instructions on how to do that. So diving right into competition structure. This graphic provides an overview of the 2025 Design Challenge competition. You can see at the top of this graphic, we have the 4 divisions in the Design Challenge. These divisions represent different commercial building types or different building types, which are categorized as both residential and commercial. For our residential divisions, we have single family housing and multifamily building. For our commercial divisions, we have education building and open commercial. All teams in the Design Challenge have to select one of these divisions in which to compete. I will clarify that you don't have to make that division selection by the team registration deadline in October, which we'll talk about more. You can wait until February 2025 to finalize that division selection. So don't use that as a hindrance to submit that team registration. And all teams across all 4 Design Challenge divisions will address the 10 contests that make us a decathlon. These contests represent industry focus areas that students will focus on through their zero energy building project and really prepare them with the knowledge and skills necessary to take into industry and actually bring these zero energy buildings to life. So some of these contest focus areas you might expect, like architecture and engineering. We also have the market contests that focus on your target market and intended occupant and how you can design the building to be responsive to their needs. We have a contest that's focused on life cycle analysis and embodied carbon. We have a contest that's focused on occupant health, contests that are focused on community impact. So these contest areas are really broad. And again, all teams across all 4 divisions are required to address the contests through their Design Challenge project. And they're really the North Star of Solar Decathlon. And again, the way that we are a true decathlon. Diving into the divisions a little bit more, again, all teams are required to select one division in which to compete for the 2025 Design Challenge. For residential divisions, we have single family housing and multifamily building. Starting with single family housing, this is defined as 1 to 2 dwelling units within a single independent detached structure. And this is really what you'd think of for a single family house. This division tends to be very popular, so your team might want to be strategic with your division selection if you are considering competing in the single family housing division. Next, in the residential divisions, we have multifamily building, and this is defined as a structure containing multiple dwelling units. Entries in the multifamily building division also tend to have up to 50% of the building floor area devoted to commercial uses. That could be retail or office or something of that sort that combines with the residential purpose in that building. For the commercial divisions, we have education building and open commercial. Education building is defined as an educational facility that serves preschool, K through 12, or higher education students. If you've been around the block with the Design Challenge, you'll know that's an expansion of that division this year. Typically, we have only allowed K through 12 students and uses in that education building division, and we've now expanded that to include higher education uses as well. And then new to the 2025 Design Challenge, we have the open commercial division. This allows students to be really creative and select a commercial building of their choosing. That could be public and civic buildings, that could be hospitality, healthcare, office. So this is truly an open division, and really the main requirements or restrictions that we place on this division is a minimum building size of 2,000 square feet, and no manufacturing buildings are allowed in open commercial, but otherwise it is a very open division for students. You'll notice at the bottom here that we say retrofits are not only allowed, but they are encouraged across all 4 design challenge divisions. If you read through section 5 on the competition evaluation process, you'll notice that the jurors will be paying special attention to teams and their demonstration of a strong understanding of the embodied and operational carbon impacts of their design, and a strong justification for choosing either a new construction or a retrofit project in the design challenge. Next up, we have competition timeline. So we just released the rules in July of this year, and now our next milestone is the team registration deadline. All teams who intend to participate in the 2025 Design Challenge must submit that team registration by October 23rd, 2024 at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. From there, we have our first optional deliverable in the competition, which is the project summary. That is a 2-page summary of your design project and really intended to represent preliminary ideas that your team has about your design challenge project. The organizers will provide technical and non-technical feedback on that deliverable, and it will not influence your standing in the competition at all. So it's really just helpful practice in submitting a deliverable and getting some early feedback from the organizers. Next up, we have our first required deliverable in the competition, which is the semi-final submission deliverable that will be due on February 18th, 2025. That deliverable is intended to represent interim progress on your design challenge project and the potential for your team to submit a successful final submission deliverable in the competition. That semi-final submission deliverable will then be presented by teams during the virtual semi-final competition event. That event will be hosted February 21st through 22nd, 2025. And again, all teams will present their projects to juries virtually during that competition event, which I'll talk about more in just a second here. Now, at the semifinal competition event, the jurors will select up to 40 total finalist teams, or up to 10 finalists across each of the 4 competition divisions to advance to the final stage of the competition. If your team is not selected as a finalist at that semifinal competition event, it does not need to be the end of the road for your design challenge participation. You can continue participation as an exhibition team. Exhibition teams will complete the design project according to the design challenge rules, and then they'll have the opportunity to present to industry expert reviewers at the Solar Decathlon competition event for feedback, but they will not be eligible for any awards in the competition. So if after the semifinal competition event, your team wants to continue your participation as an exhibition team, you'll have to submit that letter of intent on February 27th. Now, the final required deliverable in the competition is this final submission deliverable that is due on April 8th, 2025. And that represents the real substance of the design challenge project, including the design narrative, which has your technical documentation. It will include your project renderings, narratives about how your team addressed the 10 contests of the Solar Decathlon. And then our competition event jurors will review that deliverable, and you'll present it at the culmination of the Solar Decathlon Design Challenge, which is at our competition event, which will be hosted April 25th to 27th, 2025. And again, I'll talk more about that deliverable in just a second here. And I wanted to verify before I go on, I think I cut out for a second there. Maybe Allie or Kelly, you could confirm that everyone can still hear me.
Yes, I can still hear you.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so now on to 2 key events in the design challenge. First, we have the SemiFinal Competition event, which will be held February 21st to 22nd, 2025. Again, this is a 2-day all virtual event that will be used to select finalists in the Design Challenge competition. All teams who submit that semifinal submission on February 18th, 2025 will have that opportunity to present their project to industry expert jurors and get early feedback in the design process that you can then incorporate into later iterations and progress on your design. Those jurors will also select up to 40 finalist teams or up to 10 teams across each of the 4 divisions to advance to the final stage. And then at that point, you can still continue participation as an exhibition team, like I mentioned before. This is also a great opportunity for you to learn from the other teams in the 2025 Design Challenge about their approach. How are they approaching a zero energy building project in their community? What innovations have they incorporated into their design? So it's a great kind of peer exchange and learning from your competition opportunity as well. And then we have the final competition event, which will be held April 25th to 27th, 2025. This will be the final event to select winners of the 2025 Design Challenge. Now, a hybrid event means that teams have the opportunity to compete both virtually or in person at the National Renewable Energy Laboratory campus in Golden, Colorado, or your team can elect to have a combination of both virtual and in-person participants from your team. Again, at this event, all finalist teams will present their final project to industry expert jurors, and those jurors will select first, second, and third place teams across the 4 divisions, and then we will also crown a grand winner of the Design Challenge. Exhibition teams also have the opportunity to present at this final competition event, but again, they're not eligible for awards and they'll present to a totally separate panel of industry expert reviewers. This final competition event is also super fun. You'll have the opportunity to tour a world-class renewable energy research facility that is NREL. You'll have the opportunity to network with industry professionals and our sponsors from around the country and around the world, and network and peer exchange with other teams in the 2025 Design Challenge. Now on to competition benefits and why you should participate in the 2025 Design Challenge. The first point here is that the Design Challenge really represents project-based learning. This is an opportunity for students to work on a real-world design project with other students and peers across disciplines and engage with industry and potential occupants through the design project. What's also unique about the Design Challenge is you have the opportunity to choose your own project. The organizers are not dictating or mandating that you choose a particular site or a particular building, so you get to basically call your own pool shot and choose a project in your community with meaning to you. Now on to the Building Science Education Series. This is a series of short video modules and quizzes that are focused on foundational building science knowledge and skills. This is intended to really level the playing field in the Design Challenge. So of course, we have a lot of architecture and engineering students that join the Design Challenge. We also have students who are from totally different disciplines like business and political science who choose to join the competition. And you can take the Building Science Education Series and learn those fundamental building science and zero energy building design skills to compete successfully in the competition. This is a requirement for all students to complete the Building Science Education Series by the semifinal submission in February 2025. Or receive an equivalency waiver from your faculty that you have got this type of knowledge and skills from your equivalent coursework or curriculum. Next up, we have industry software and tools. So all students participating in the Design Challenge have access to these industry relevant software and tools to help you build your design project throughout the competition. For example, we have tools that are focused on energy modeling, life cycle analysis, financials, and cost estimation, and that will really help you to ground your project in some sound assumptions and strengthen your technical approach. It's also a great way to boost your resume. You'll be able to tell employers that you know how to use these industry software and tools to build or to design a zero energy building project. So again, all students have access to these industry software and tools through their competition participation. Next up, we have the opportunity to connect with alumni. Solar Decathlon has been going on since 2002, so we have a really deep and broad alumni base with over 26,000 US-based Solar Decathlon alumni that you'll be able to join this broad professional network. There's also an opportunity for students in the 2025 Design Challenge to be paired with an industry professional alumni mentor. And this alumni mentor will help you throughout the competition by providing feedback on project direction and deliverables. And they'll also be able to share their experiences and best practices as a solar decathlete themselves. So you'll be able to hear it from students of the past and be able to incorporate that type of wisdom into your design challenge project. And what goes along with that is industry exposure. The Design Challenge is a great opportunity to expand your career network. That includes opportunities at the final competition event and beyond to connect with industry professional jurors, sponsors, and other supporters of Solar Decathlon. And these professionals are really eager and excited to connect with you. Sponsors keep coming back to Solar Decathlon because they know you are the student leaders of the future in the buildings industry, and they want to recruit you to work at their organizations. It's also a great opportunity to explore career pathways and job opportunities in the buildings industry. Last but not least, here we have competition awards. This is all outlined in the rules as well, but we do award first, second, and third place in each of the 4 competition divisions. From there is one grand winner of the Design Challenge selected from all of the first place teams in the competition. And that will all happen at the final competition event on Sunday during the award ceremony that we have during that weekend. Additionally, we have a new kind of special class of awards this year. That is the Innovative Retrofit and Innovative Equity Project Awards. Those are intended to recognize student work and innovation in approaches to challenges in existing buildings and buildings that benefit underserved communities. Those are 2 significant focus areas in the 2025 Design Challenge. So we'll be rewarding student work and innovation in those areas this year. Last year, we have bonus awards. These are intended to recognize the hard work and enthusiasm of students beyond the required deliverables. For example, we have bonus awards for Team Spirit, for the team that first submits that design narrative in April 2025. So lots of recognition to be had during this final competition event in April 2025. Now on to next steps and how to register your team. So to register for the 2025 Design Challenge, you can go to the submission site at solardecathlon.skill.com. From there, if you are the first person on your team to log into the submission site, you'll first create and register a user account on the site. And once you've registered and verified that user account, you'll have to log back in and add other members to your team. And then just have one person on your team complete the details of the team registration form that can be found on the Applications tab of the submission site. So I wanted to make that distinction there. Just creating a user account on the site does not register you as a team in the Design Challenge. You'll have to log back in and complete the team registration form that can be found on that Applications tab. And again, the deadline for this is October 23rd, 2024 at 5 o'clock Eastern time. And we'll continue to send reminders about that team registration deadline. And then before we jump into questions, I wanted to leave us with a testimonial from one of our previous Design Challenge faculty here about the learning opportunity that is Solar Decathlon. You'll have the opportunity to build foundational knowledge and skills in building science and zero energy building design. And beyond that, gain critical professional development skills as well, learning how to present your project to juries and convey the salient points of that project to industry, how to design for a target market and occupant, and also have the opportunity to gain or obtain awards on an international stage. So this is a really exciting opportunity, and we hope that all of you are excited about this year's competition as well. So with that, I think we can open it up for questions. That's all I had. And I see a few questions in the chat. Maybe Allie, you could help me if there's anything that I haven't covered yet.
Can you just verbally go over the team registration process for how many teams how many teams per collegiate institution and per division?
Yes, so each collegiate institution or school can have up to one team in each of the 4 divisions. So theoretically, one school could have 4 teams in the 2025 Design Challenge. They all need to be in separate divisions. So your university could not submit 2 team registrations in the single family housing division, for instance, but you can have up to 4 teams in the competition total. And any other questions, feel free to come off mute and come on camera and ask those questions. Now's a great time to do that. Or feel free to put them in the chat as well, and I can answer that. Any questions from folks who are here with us live? Yeah, Jason, I see your hand up, please.
Yeah. Hello. So my name is Jason. I'm a student at Illinois Institute of Technology who has a really good history of the solar decathlon in the past. And I had a question. So like, how do you guys suggest how you organize your team? Because I know like from the rules you need one person's team lead, but I wasn't sure if it suggests to have different leads for different areas. Like, oh, like building a simulation for like energy model crosses a lot of different contest areas. Do you think that's good to have a team lead for that? Or you realize, oh, like health isn't just bound to that one contest, it covers like all the other ones as well. Do you think like a separate health leader, like a separate engineering lead would help structure the team better? Or do you think just one team lead and everybody does like a little bit of everything works better? So what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Jason. And I wanted to first clarify that the organizers do not dictate any sort of team structure. On the team registration, we do ask that you indicate one team lead and one faculty lead, but that doesn't have to really translate to any formal structure within your team and how you conduct the work there. So there's no requirements in the competition for that. I think you were on a great path there. We've seen a lot of teams designate one student to lead work in a specific area. We have seen teams break out those team leads by the contest areas. We've seen them do it by the other areas you mentioned, whether that's energy modeling or architecture. So it's really up to your team. And then I would also say it's up to, the exercise I would encourage is to consider where your team's strengths lie. Are you comprised of engineering students? Are you comprised of architecture students? Do you have both? How can you capitalize on everyone's strengths and different backgrounds for competition purposes? And where can you seek out maybe students who can help bring strengths to your team? If you don't have someone who's familiar with energy modeling, maybe you can find another student at your school who might be familiar. So I'd say it's really dependent on your current team structure, but I think you're on the right path for that approach. Thanks, Jason.